30 times. Ten times more. Two times more. Letting go and stop.
And then the laws of human nature, one thing that when you have a stroke, it affected the right side of my brain, which destroyed the left side of my body. Mm-hmm. And supposedly when the right side of your brain is damaged, it tends to make you more emotional. And I've definitely become more emotional. So I've had to learn to control some of my anger, some of my impatience, some of my frustration. And obviously the laws of human nature are a lot about that. And the last chapter is about having to deal with death. And so with all of the things I'm dealing with and all the kind of, God damn it, why can't I do that? I have to keep reminding myself I'm alive. I'm gonna write another book. The birds are out there chirping. It could have been a much different story. Last month, 6 weeks ago, was the 2nd-year anniversary of the stroke. And I had this thought, this could have been the 2nd anniversary of my death.
Wow.
And people would be like gathering together, or maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But it would be like the anniversary of my death, but it's not. I've been given a second lease, and I have to think about that every single day.
Isn't that crazy to think that when you die, hopefully people will think nice things about you, and every year they'll get together and say, hey, let's tell a nice story about our friend or that we lost, hopefully. But isn't that crazy to think that someday we're gonna die, and someday no one's gonna remember us?
It's a weird thought. And it's also like, I wrote about this, I can't remember, I think it was in the 50th Law, where enough time passes, nobody remembers you.
No one.
200 years from now, no one will even know who Lewis Howes was or Robert Greene, And so all traces of you are gone. Yeah, it's a weird thought. And
you might be in a history book or something, maybe.
Maybe, if the planet is still here.
It's here,
yeah, that's true. But this is sort of what my next book is about. You have to be able to take every kind of negative experience or emotion in life and find a way to transmute it into something healthy and positive. So how do you take that thought and turn it into something life-affirming and productive? And so my way is, okay, that very well may be, I better make the most of what the time that I have, because in 200 years, I'm nothing, right? Also, through my books, I will have a life that will go on. I will have a legacy. Work on that. Think about people reading you in the future. So I use it, any kind of negative thing. This is sort of the idea of amor fati that I've talked about in my books. Any bad thing that fate brings you, you have to find a way. It's like alchemy. Using the Philosopher's Stone, you transform that into gold through a mental process.
Thirty times. 10 times more. Two times more. Letting go and stop.
How do you think we can transform ourselves into the person or the people we want to become when there only seems to be negative experiences in our life? I'm hearing you talk about transmuting negative into a positive. How can we truly transform ourselves into this desired dream life when it seems like everything is out to get me, the government isn't the way I want it to be, my friends are not the right friends? What do you think we can start to do to transform ourselves?
Well, I would tell people to read chapter 8 of the laws of human nature, because I go deeply into that, which is the law about your attitude. And the idea is you have a viewpoint, a perspective. It's like the lens on a camera. And it's through that lens that you view the world and you view people and you view events. And no two people see the same event in the same way, right? And so your attitude, how you look at the world, will determine what you get in life. So if you're focusing on all the obstacles, if you're focusing on the government, if you're focusing on COVID, if you're focusing on this person didn't give me that thing, my parents didn't give me that thing, that's you creating your attitude. You're building it. It's like a crystallization process. This crystal starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger as each new crystal is added, and you crystallize this negative defensive attitude towards life, and that's what you're going to get. And there's simple examples of that. So if I'm kind of come to this interview and I'm sort of defensive and I don't really feel good about Lewis and I'm not sure what's going to happen, you've picked that up on me because you're a very astute person, you're very sensitive. You pick it up. And so you're not going to be very friendly to me. So my initial attitude creates a reaction in you which is negative. It starts from me, but because most people are kind of paranoid and don't have that self-awareness, they'll think, God, Lewis is such an asshole. Pardon? I don't know if I can say this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not on television. Lewis is such an asshole. He's so cold. Why is he? But it's coming from me, and you're not realizing it. So you create how people react to you. You create how negative circumstances affect you.
Yeah.
So, we have COVID and jobs are being wiped out left, right, and center. You're having to spend a lot of time alone at home. Your life has been massively disrupted, most people. And you can see this as like, God damn it, why did this have to happen? My life is ruined. I'm not gonna go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. And you start maybe drink a little bit. You start putting on some pounds, that COVID, whatever they call it.
COVID-15 or whatever.
COVID-15,
like the freshman
right?
15. Yeah.
Right? Well, it's understandable. It is a very devastating kind of bomb that exploded here. But on the other hand, you could say, this is an opportunity.
Thirty times. Ten times more. 2 times more. Letting go and stop.
I'm not trying to be Pollyannish about it because I'm not a Pollyannish person, as you know. I wrote the 48 Laws of Power. And no one ever has to say that I'm Pollyannish after I wrote that book. But it's an opportunity. And the opportunity is on many levels to rethink your life, to rethink your values, to rethink where you're going, to rethink what your career should be, what your relationship to other people should be. It's a time to reorient yourself to who you are and what you like and what what your goals are and what makes you unique. It's a time to read books and enlighten yourself and enrich your mind. So if you take that attitude, then, Ryan Holiday wrote the best book on this subject. I encourage people to read it, The Obstacle is the Way. If you have that attitude where obstacles are actually the path forward, nothing's going to stop you. But it's all how you look at things. It's kind of a mental process that you switch to seeing the positive side. So a stroke is like the worst thing that happened to me. It ruined so much, but it's also been a blessing in some ways because it's really made me appreciate my life, appreciate the people around me. And I'm now writing my 7th book.
Wow.
And I keep having this thought that I could die tomorrow because I'm in a very vulnerable state for catching the coronavirus once you've had a stroke. It could happen, I gotta get this book done, man. I am so motivated. I'm working so hard on it because, I see that this is like my great opportunity to express something before I am dead.
Yeah.
So it's just that switch inside of that lens, how you look at the world, that will change what you're just talking about.
What are the greats in history? What have they done when they lose a war? They, a family member dies. They go through a life-threatening condition. What are the great presidents, rulers, leaders of the past? What do they do in those moments of tragedy that allow them to bounce back and then rebound into something more powerful or greater than before? Is there common themes from the past that you've seen?
Well, Abraham Lincoln faced a lot of that stuff. He dealt with a lot of death early on in his life with his parents and people around him, and he suffered some major setbacks. And then you can think of like Winston Churchill, who also dealt with, like, he led a war campaign, and during World War I that was a major disaster. He was in disgrace, and he was a very manic depressive person, and he became very, very depressed, and he bounced back.